and began to occupy the White House was when this huge energy crisis slammed into the state of California. All of a sudden, my utility bill went from $75 to almost $450 in 1 month. Why? Because we can, say the utility companies, claiming it was the wholesalers who sold them the juice that jacked the prices way up on them. Oh my God, say the private utility monopolies, we're going bankrupt. Governor Davis, give us money to get out of bankruptcy, or there's going to be more and more rolling blackouts, and you're going to have to reset the clocks on your VCRs again and again and again. Through the corporate form, Davis did it and rammed the bill through the legislature, giving these two private utility companies, oh, well, yeah, this is what happens when you privatize something like BC Hydro, or even allow little privatized colonies to invade and everything. Basically, PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric, and Southern California Edison down in Southern California got somewhere between $20 and $40 billion in taxpayers' money, even though the parts that were ailing for, say, PG&E Company was bankrupt, but PG&E Corporation, that had all these other assets, had a little shell game, so they weren't responsible, so they laughed all the way to the bank as the public bailed them out instead of them putting money into their own company. But then, God, if you're going to waste all this money giving it back to a bunch of crooks, why not give it to the people who actually live in the state so they can put solar panels on their houses for free? Would have been far better off. Plus, the other weird one, since I know there's an issue about what's going on with BC Hydro right now, there were 3 places that were completely unaffected by this electricity and natural gas shortage. LA, I think the other 2 were Santa Clara and Palo Alto, California, the ones who never privatized their utilities. And they were publicly owned by the city with an elected board, so they already had the wholesale rates locked in with contracts with those clowns, and they couldn't raise them on them, so they were just fine. No rolling blackouts there, only where the privateers ruled did you have this problem. Well, anyway, Davis, and one of the few good things he did as governor, filed a huge lawsuit against the people who it turned out weren't running out of juice at all. They were just pretending to. Like Enron, like Duke Energy, even Ross Perot was involved in this. Sued them for billions and billions of dollars trying to get the money back for the state and the ratepayers and all. But because the governor filed the lawsuit instead of the state attorney general's office, it meant that the governor could withdraw the lawsuit or settle it at his pleasure. So why risk losing billions of dollars of ill-gotten pirate booty when you can spend a few tens of millions to change the governor? And that was what the whole scam was really about. Schwarzenegger had even been having meetings behind closed doors with the head of Enron and Kenneth Lay and Michael Milken about the worst stock swindler in American history and other Republican big shots during and after the energy crisis, laying the groundwork for the little coup. Then he immediately tries to redraw the congressional districts, and that doesn't work, and teachers and nurses unions, and that didn't work. But he's probably going to be getting reelected anyway, even though he was down to about 20 or 30% of the polls, because the Democrats came up with such a hollow, lame excuse for a leader to run against him who looks more like a giant rat or something. The junk mail continues. The very next year, how many forests were destroyed for all these mass mailings that even I got from Bush Cheney 04? Addressed not to my legal name on the voter rolls, but to Jello Biafra. At the alternative technical street address, which is not huge public knowledge. I mean, plus my legal name is also on the business license for the label. So how do they come up with this shit? And then, so what is all this? It looks kind of grim. Does this mean I've got a warrant to show up at Guantanamo Bay within 5 days, or be beheaded, or tortured or something? Or is it my draft notice? No, worse. It's a fake autograph. But the evildoer himself I wife. That's even fake personalized the fun.
It's Jello Biafra. Thank you for your early commitment and dedication as a charter member of the campaign in California.
Well, with all the legalized spying and NSA run amok in the United States, and all the Homeland Security and Patriot Act crap going on, now we don't just have a military-industrial complex, we don't just have a prison-industrial complex, we have a Homeland Security-industrial complex now. But maybe it's not something to worry about that bad if they're still so incompetent they send this to me.
Another one. Grassroots leaders like you are the key to building a winning team.
Yeah, a winning team to send him straight to Milosevic's old cell in The Hague so he can be tried for war crimes. That's what I would call a winning team.